All right. Well, hello everyone. We'll just jump right in. For those of you who were doing two things this morning, watching a state board meeting as well as attending TACD, we are now entering somewhat of a new phase in teacher preparation in Tennessee, where we have multiple assessments that are available for licensure at this point in time. So we are going into a session about what Tennessee EPPs need to know. Okay, a little bit about CEEDAR, if you're not familiar. CEEDAR stands for the Collaborative for Effective Educator Development, Accountability, and Reform. It's housed at the University of Florida. It's a national technical assistance center currently partnering with 21 states and basically just provides assistance to collaborating teams of state departments of ed, IHEs, and LEAs to ensure effective teachers and leaders for each and every student. A little bit about our Tennessee Cedar group. This is a recent photo, totally not AI at all. We consist of members from TDOE, ed preps across the state, as well as LEAs. And of course, we have Cedar Center staff assigned to assist the state of Tennessee as well. We have a QR code to our website there, and that's our float from a Mardi Gras parade recently. Now, a little bit about the licensure committee. The CEDAR Licensure Committee focuses on evaluating licensure policies and procedures that will lead to the overall mission and goal of supporting a capacity of SEAs, LEAs, and EPPs to prepare teachers and leaders to best support all students. Multiple licensure team members assisted with this presentation. So special thanks to Missy Drennan of Johnson, Kimberly Dement of Tennessee Tech, and Taylor Reed from TDOE. And another special thanks to one of our team members here at UTK, Megan Copley, who helped put together some of these materials as well. Okay, so assessment options. I think we all know Praxis. We've always had, Praxis exams as what we called the Praxis 2, that content exam that was required to verify content preparation for teacher licensure. We now have approved Pearson NES or NT exams as they're listed in policy. You heard Jesse talk about this a little bit in the TDOE session this morning. And so we're just going to go through what these options mean and what we need to know as EPPs. First, we're going to talk about some of the similarities. So most on both assessments, most are offered year-round, most are computer-based tests, most have options for either at home or a testing center, and you have to have an appointment. Even for the online test, you can't just, sign in and take it at any time. You have to have the appointment in both series of assessments. Accommodations, both offer accommodations for students who may need accommodations. Both have official request and documentation procedures for that. All of those links are available here, and I do have a copy of this presentation for everyone as well. Cost. So you have to look up the individual test, to really get the cost comparison. But we've been doing the ETS Praxis exams for a while. Most of those are around the $130 range. Those equivalent tests on the Pearson side of things are about $119. So, not too much of a difference there. We know our teacher candidates are probably strapped for cash in most cases, but that's not a huge difference that would, really lead one to make a decision in one way or the other. That elementary suite of assessments can get expensive, and so I went ahead and compared those as well. There's just two elementary assessments on the Pearson side of things that adds up to $170. And which compares to $180 for ETS Praxis if you register for them all at the same time. But then again, if you take them separately, it's quite a bit more than that. Literacy exams stack up at 156 versus 139, and then I just put ELL on there as well. So, not a huge cost difference we're seeing, but there are differences there, so it's worth investigating your specific exam. Retake policies are very similar as well. So both testing series require like a waiting period before you can register to retake the exam. Both have there's not a limit to how many times you can register to take the exam. You can take it as many times as needed in order to pass. And both have a three after free or after free after three policy, excuse me. So if you attempt the assessment three times and do not pass after that, your attempts are free. The length of the exams, again, usually, and most across all assessments are very similar. So most are in that 2 hour range. The elementary suite of exams are a lot longer, right? Like, so on the ETS side of things, if you take them all at one time, it's like 4.5 hours, or it's 4 hour-and-a-half sessions. And then on the Pearson side of things, there's two exams that are 2.5 hours each. The early literacy exam is a notable difference here. It is very long on the Pearson side of things, and not quite as long on the ETS side of things. So that's a difference I'm going to be digging into a little bit. Reporting timelines. They vary, by the test and the testing date and window. Uh, both series of exams will offer those unofficial scores immediately upon completion. And each test lists a score reporting window. On the Praxis side of things, there's one place to look up every score reporting, when exactly the score will be reported. And then on the Pearson side of things, I believe we heard earlier today their website for Tennessee specifically will be live in March. But right now you have to look at the individual test to see the test reporting date. And so I just put an example there of when you could see a test reporting date. Note that for both exams, like the reporting date and the 10 compass date are not the same thing. It usually takes a few days longer past the score reporting date to get into 10 compass. One thing I did notice is that Pearson does offer, some of the tests offer an expedited reporting for an additional cost. That could be useful for some of our candidates who are under time pressure for these assessments. Available supports. Both series of assessments have things that are available prior to registration, things that are available after you register, and then things that are available for an additional cost after you register. Or at any time, I guess they're available for an additional cost. But for ETS and Praxis, you can view a study companion and a study plan prior to registration. You just have to enter your email address and it like immediately appears in your inbox. And for Pearson, prior to registration, they have links that have a few sample questions, an overview, and like the test competencies. After registration, both offer an interactive practice test, but you have to register for the test first to get access to that. And then Praxis offers multiple additional supports at cost. There's flashcards, quiz stack, test prep books, additional practice tests, etc. And then Pearson offers Right Start, which are offered as subscriptions, so either a 30-day subscription or a 90-day subscription there. Um, the content focus is where we see a few differences in the assessments. So this I'll spend a little more time on. There's probably other differences that I haven't listed here, right? There's like 3 pages of assessments that were approved, so we're not going to cover every single difference in this time period. But I've brought up some of the main ones that I've noticed in doing this comparison. So, first of all, in accreditation and program design, these tests are not identical. Okay, so if you have aligned praxis intentionally with your coursework or with different standards that you have to meet for accreditation, this is not something that you can just find and replace and put in like the NES exam as well. That is going to take a little more intentionality on the side of the EPP to see what exact standards are covered by both exams and at how those align to the current programs of study and current standards alignment. So please just don't find and replace on that one. A notable difference in content focus is that for social science endorsements or secondary social science endorsements, Praxis has different exams for each area of endorsement. Like, so there's a different exam for history and a different exam for government and economics. And there's one exam on the NES side that covers all of that. So or that qualifies. I don't know if it covers all of that. It qualifies the candidate for all of those endorsements. So that's worth looking into because that would be an area where, we're not sure if that aligns with our current programs of study and things like that. The early foundational literacy exam, there's a huge time difference in the amount of time that's required for both exams. The ETS exam is notably shorter than the Pearson exam, so that is worth looking into, as well as the fact that all of us have probably reported that Praxis exam on our literacy reports for the Tennessee Literacy Success Act. So ensuring that the NES exam aligns in the same manner is something that is probably worth our time. Mathematics, this one is not new, but just calling it to everyone's attention. There are different options among the two vendors for different licensure in math. The NES has that 610 exam that qualifies folks for the 610 endorsement, and there's not an equivalent on the Praxis side for that. With elementary, there appears to be quite a different content focus as well. So on the Praxis side of things, there's, the four subparts that have, mathematics, literacy, social science, and science. And on the Pearson NES side of things, there's just two subparts, one that focuses on, literacy and the other that focuses on mathematics. So it will be interesting to see, how that aligns with all of our programs as well. Special ed side of things, there's one assessment for NES for interventionist and comprehensive, as opposed to two with ETS and Praxis. So, like for our program that offers all three endorsements, that might be a good option, but also, not really sure if that aligns with, like the competencies that we're looking to evaluate by these exams. So we're going to have to dig in deeper with that. And then some assessments don't have an NES equivalent. So, like if you go to the approved policy and look down on, all the approved Praxis exams, not every single one has an approved NES equivalent there. So, there's music vocal as an example, other world languages is one, early childhood special ed 5692. There might be some others. Again, this is like hot off the presses news. So, I haven't had a chance to look at every single assessment in their comparison, but those are the things that have just popped out, we've noticed. And with that, if we could turn it over to both, we're going to turn it over to and provide ETS and Praxis and Pearson and NES some time to talk about the distinguishing features of their exam. So again, I did a really high-level overview trying to compare both of them, but of course, our representatives know this way better than we do. So if we could we're going to take about 5-10 minutes to hear from ETS and then about 5 or 10 minutes to hear from Pearson. And then we'll wrap it up with some additional comparison resources that we have for everyone.
Hi, Amelia. This is Lisa. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. So I am very, very, very impressed, Amelia. That was really nicely done. I was just like, holy cow, there are some things that I'm going to follow up with the state client on because I do think some of those differences that you talked about, like for social studies and things, we actually do have different tests that are available. That would also align to some of those differences, but that, of course, is up to the state and the State Board of Education to adopt. So there's some of those things that could be that you identified of differences may actually be the same depending upon what they do with the adoption of those different options. So, with that, I had some things to cover, but I don't want to redo what Amelia did already so brilliantly. So, I'm going to kind of skip the whole cost and the free after three program. Like she said, she's already covered that. We're super excited about that. As you had shared, the different lengths of the tests were great, but one thing I will say that is a distinction for the Praxis at Home is the testing, the at-home testing availability. We actually offer all of the Praxis tests, except with the exception of a very like three of the world languages at home and 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, including holidays. So, not all holidays, but a majority of the holidays, which really makes flexibility for candidates who might have to work. I mean, I remember being a teacher in my prep program. I had a 2 year old working full time and doing student teaching and doing all those things, like being able to have the availability to take at different times of the day was really helpful for that. So that is one thing that we're really excited about. I do see how do they get the free after three. For ETS, it's automatic. So they automatically get an email after the third time that they don't pass. Hopefully that never happens. But if they did, and then it's all automatic on that side, they can just take advantage of that opportunity. Um, Amelia, you did a great job on the standards and the coverage of all of those. If there is anybody that wants like a crosswalk of that done, already have done this for other states that really show the crosswalk between the NES and ours for the majority of our tests. So that is something that we have already done. Would be happy to provide that to any one of you. Just send me an email. I'd be happy to share that. It's just some of the services that as your director of educational partnerships, I can do for you. The retake policies, as you said, the 28-day waiting period, really that's designed to support not only the meaningful preparation between the taking of the test, you really don't want them to take it over and over and over quickly, but it also upholds those psychometric standards. Um, and then all of the supports I have shared over the years, all of the different supports that we have, the study companions, the study plans, the interactive practice tests. We just shared in a previous session all the innovation that we're doing, but I won't go into that because that's to come later, hopefully. Um, and then just really, I just want to be able to let you know that I'm really here as a support system. I do see my colleague Jerry. I think he's on here. I'm not sure if he was going to be on there, but Jerry and I work really closely together, even though he's on the Pearson side and I'm on the Praxis side. We really are for this. We all have the same reason and work in the same stances to help support candidates and make sure that they're ready to teach in the classroom. So with that, I will turn it over unless you have any specific questions for me. But again, any of the crosswalks, any of those things, I'm happy to help you all get as you look forward to this choice opportunity.
Got it. And I will jump in and answer a question that's in the chat, and then we'll turn it over to Jerry. So thank you so much for for jumping in and clarifying a couple of those things. I really appreciate that. And I do think that there's an opportunity to, when any new assessment comes in, just looking at the existing assessments as well. And we're always, as EPPs, willing thought partners on, what is reasonable for licensure assessments for our candidates. There is a question in the chat about is Pearson doing the Praxis core as well? I will just clarify that, Praxis Core is not required. It's not required for teacher licensure. And there's alternatives that are allowed for Praxis Core for admission to teacher ed. So it's not required in the state. So that's why it's not listed in the required assessments policy that was approved. But th there is, as far as I know, a Pearson equivalent, but I'm kind of limiting this focus to things that kind of are required for licensure. Um, Jerry, would you like to jump in and talk about
I
NES and
certainly
PSIC?
would.
All
Thank you,
right.
Dr. Brown. Lisa, thank you very much. Lisa is absolutely right. We work closely together, have for many years. And so we're both after the same thing, and that's what's best for Tennessee students and Tennessee candidates. Um, I do have some slides I would like to share. Dr. Brown, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
So,
Rhonda has let you share, so you should be good to go.
okay, I'm going to hit share. I'm going to do screen. Let's see. I'm thinking you can see my screen now, possibly.
We
And,
can see the TACTI conference
right.
room.
Okay. We're going to try to get the PowerPoint up here in a second. It helps me, if it allows me. If you permit me to go back out. Okay, guys, technology is great until it isn't. I think this is it. Permit me to do this again. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, I'm back to where I belong. And I'm going to start sharing again. There's the PowerPoint. So I'm going to start that. Now I, now I have the PowerPoint up, but you guys can't see it, right?
We're not seeing your screen, Jerry.
Okay. We're gonna we're just gonna talk through this, okay? If this doesn't work this time. But I think this will work this time.
Oh, we might be in business.
We
There it
there?
is.
Very good. Gee, many Christmas. So we work on Teams most of the time. I'm not on Zoom very often, so I apologize for that. So I'll make this as quickly as possible. I felt like you know, guys are very, very, very familiar with Praxis. You've had it for years, but you may not be as familiar with evaluation series in the the evaluation systems team. So what I wanted to do is kind of give you a sense of, while it's a big change, it's not really that big a change. There is a team. There are teams that are involved. Our team is led by Dr. Wyatt Gordon. I'm part of that team as well, and Dr. Matt DiBartolomeo. He would probably have been here today, but he was at the board meeting today for the board item on the agenda. And so the point is, evaluation systems, they're people. And they're folks that we know. We've worked with Taylor very closely. I think a number of you probably knew Kelly Crawford, part of our team. Kelly's now opening a restaurant, okay, in West Virginia, so she's no longer with us. But we're a phone call away. Dr. Brown can get a hold of me. Dr. Seahack can get a hold of me. Taylor, we regularly interact. So I don't want you to view evaluation systems as some unknown entity. So what we do and I'm going to try to get you guys out of the way if I can. What we do is we do a series of assessments. Okay, we do custom assessments, we do national assessments, such as a national board. The Foundation's Reading Test is a national assessment, and we do hybrid programs. And that some states want some custom assessments, but they want some national assessments. So we cover all that ground. This is a lot of our programs. I don't like death by PowerPoint. Okay. What we're here to talk about is the National Evaluation Series. So we're going to go with that and look at that overview. The point is, evaluation systems, they may not be a household term in Tennessee, but we certify over 65% of the educators in this country. And we do it through some of the large assessment programs, the custom assessment programs, Texas, New York, California, Florida, those. And so we're no stranger to licensure tests. I want to talk about the National Evaluation Series. There's a quote here, we love it. Every innovation in education is a promise to our students, a commitment to meet their potential with purpose, vision, and care. And so the National Evaluation Series we would say it's fit for purpose. It's always been driven by response to policy. It is built, validated, and managed by educators. So I could talk forever about the development of our assessments, the processes that you're used to in the building of the Praxis assessments. Those processes are tried and true. Same processes we use to develop our assessments here, always led by educators. They're part of that program, part of that process. And we want to have valid and reliable assessments. The National Evaluation Series, we are proud that most of the titles are $119. We try to make it as affordable. If we really look at that statement we had as kind of a mission statement, the National Evaluation Series, we want to be able to keep assessments low. Okay. And so that honors that. The free after three retake attempts, all they do is register. Their card is zeroed out as they go through the process. So they don't have to do anything to get that. They just get it. I do want to illustrate the point that while some things may be different, some things aren't very different at all. You're going to have a landing page. That landing page, you're going to be able to find your test. All right. This is the NES landing page. There's a nice little simple guide fit for purpose. What do kids need to do? They need to know something before they register, know how to register. They know how to prepare. What happens on the day of assessment, review your scores. That's all right up front for these guys. They search by state. You go down, there's a drop down, they choose Tennessee. When they select Tennessee, it takes them to the Tennessee state page. And so this is where all the assessments will be listed. All right. If you can see up in the upper left-hand corner, there's prepare a candidate. That's for you, that's for faculty, what you would do to support the candidates. And also there is a prepare button that the candidate would click on. So once they click that prepare, it takes them to a page where all the information that they need is there. All right. And we put all the information in one place so they don't have to search. Format, timing breaks, test dates, test sites, passing scores, reference materials, test fees. If you go further on down, okay, the list, you also find a box that says prepare. It has a link there. You link the correlation tables and it breaks it out into infinitum detail so kids know exactly what it is they need to take on a test. So very, very similar. I do want to point out, okay, the right start, because that is not a free resource. It's a for-fee resource. It's a subscription. But these are specifically aligned to the frameworks of the tests. And it's a diagnostic. It has summative, formative, readiness checks for the candidate so they can determine when they're ready to move on to the next specification. And these are content modules designed to each specification of that test. $35 for a 30-day subscription. Again, a very reasonable price, $70 for a 90-day subscription. These have been very helpful, okay? We offer the full range of EPP supports. We'll be working with Taylor to set up webinars, support webinars. The results analyzer tool is like you're used to the ETS, EDM, the ETS data manager. We have a similar tool called results analyzer. We'll do training on those things and so everybody knows how to use them. Candidate support, same thing. We're going to do webinars for those guys. We have helplines, tutorials, videos, everything you would expect in the program we have. So there's one other thing I want to leave you with before we go. We know change is hard, and we know that there are going to be people that are going to be wondering, should I, shouldn't I? What we're going to do is we're going to discount our test fee to $99 per assessment. All right. All somebody has to do is register on it before August 31st, and it'll be a $99 test fee for them. And we also offer free retakes, an insurance policy. So Tennessee candidates who register and take this theory test on it before the 31st, they'll be eligible for a free retake. And so, it's kind of designed to give them some added confidence. And, if they want to try it, then they have less skin in the game, if you will, and maybe that help them feel more comfortable. So that's it from my end. A lot of information quickly, but, point I want to make, we've done a lot of licensure testing. We're known across the country. We know these folks in Tennessee. They're great folks. I have two grandkids in Tennessee, in Cleveland, Tennessee. So we want to get it right. And so pleasure to be with you, Dr. Brown. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. It is a steep learning curve for all of us. Praxis has been a household name for a long time, so we have some research to do. There is a question in the chat. Does the Right Start have a money back guarantee if they don't pass the exam?
There's no money back guarantee, okay, if they don't pass the exam. No.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, thank you, Lisa, as well for, sharing the Praxis updates. One of the things that I recently found on the Praxis side of things too that I think you guys might find useful is that the vouchers are now good for 2 years for Praxis. So we were definitely having folks who let theirs expire. So I think that helps with that concern a little bit as well.
Amelia,
Um,
might I add real quick to that too? So sorry. So the vouchers are not only 2 years, but you also now can purchase them by dollar amounts versus test code. So we really wanted to make sure to allow for flexibility. And so a lot of EPPs were really begging us to be able to offer vouchers by just a dollar amount, like maybe just to offset costs or those kind of things. So you can do them in any one of those fashions.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so that's something too, for those of us who buy vouchers, right? Like, we have to take that into consideration and all of the things. So, one thing that, before we go that I'd like to share with everyone is we've started putting together comparisons of for everyone to look at. And the one thing I will mention is that these are accurate as of right now, right? Like, so the next time that either a test changes or, the assessment policy changes, this won't be accurate any longer. But we have, basically to save everyone from doing the same Google searches across the state and trying to compare assessments. We've gone ahead and put together a document here that I'll throw in the chat so that everyone has access to it. It has multiple tabs, and I don't have quite every endorsement area added yet, but we'll get more and more added. But this is the elementary one that shows all the different assessments, both ETS Praxis and Pearson NES NT. These are live links here to the actual like testing sites for both tests, and then just an overall comparison of the time duration, the cost, the format. We have seen a trend recently in tests going away from essay questions. There's been several of the Praxis exams that used to have essay questions that those have been retired, and in newer versions of those exams. We see that in the NES assessments as well. There's fewer exams that have essay questions. I believe that's probably part of keeping things affordable. And then, but so we put together, just letting you guys know, we put together these comparisons for multiple different assessments with or multiple different licensure areas with the live links to assessments in there. I realize it's a lot to digest, and I realize it's a lot of, Google searching if everyone goes at this alone. So we thought we'd just go ahead and share. And again, it's going to get outdated. I would not suggest sharing this with teacher candidates. As always, I would suggest that teacher candidates go to the actual ETS website, or when it's launched, the actual Praxis website, so that they can register for the test with the most current information, and not a document that Amelia Brown shared 2 years ago, right? Because that's probably not going to be current for forever. But we did want to, leave everyone, with something, to take back. But with that, I believe there's a couple minutes left. If anyone has, any questions for Lisa or Jerry, or the group as we're facing this change. I know that I've already gotten a couple of questions from teacher candidates about this, so they're going to hear about it. We can't keep it from them forever, and I hope this leaves everyone a little more prepared to answer these questions and make these decisions in our ed prep program. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.